What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out a brand new Talker Link monster that just got revealed. This is coming out of the Structure Deck Master Link, which I believe is coming out in July in the OCG. This was completely expected. You guys know that Playmaker Yasaku, he's got so many damn Talker Link monsters. We started with what? Decode Talker, then we got Xcode Talker, Power Code Talker, so it was only right that there be more of them. And I guess they're trying to complete the entire attribute rainbow. I do think it's a little strange that there's still only one version of Firewall Dragon. You guys know when it comes to the protagonists is like boss monster, whether it be Dark Magician, Utopia, Firewall Dragon. I mean, look how many different versions there are of like Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Usually these cards have anywhere from like 8 to 10 different variations, but we only have one version of Firewall Dragon. So I feel like Konami's probably working on something down the road, but as of right now, we're definitely building up the number of Talker monsters that we have, and all of them are like pretty much Link 3s, right? Anyway, Shootingcode Talker, it is of course a Link 3. This is water attribute, it's Cyber's type, you expected that. 2300 attack, which is I think pretty good for a Link 3. The Link points are top towards your opponent, left and then bottom, which those are pretty decent. Now this is the most unfortunate part of the card in my opinion. The materials are 2+ Cyber's effect monsters, and that is just that's so painful because it really means that you can only use this in Cyber's. And I do understand on one hand Konami really wants us to start playing Cyber's, to like, I really think more than anything they want Cyber's to be like super successful and they want it to be competitive, and I think that's why they're locking so many cards into only being able to, you know, be played in Cyber's. But it just sucks because I want to play these cards and, you know, like a multitude of decks, and unfortunately that's just not going to happen with this card. The effects are actually pretty useful in my opinion. First effect, at the start of your battle phase you can activate this effect. During this battle phase this card can make a number of attacks on your opponent's monsters up to the number of monsters this card points to +1. Also for the rest of the turn, if your opponent controls exactly one monster and this card battles it, it loses, or excuse me, this card loses 400 attack during that damage calculation. Second effect, and to me this is the most exciting part of this card, at the end of the battle phase you can draw cards equal to the number of monsters this card destroyed by battle during this turn. So that obviously works directly with the first effect, where you get the ability to attack your opponent's monsters equal to the number of cards this card points to +1. I actually really like that because I don't really think that it's that difficult, especially just if you're just talking about getting this card linked up with like one monster. That should be incredibly easy. You can link it with a monster your opponent has as it can point up towards them, or you can summon this and then obviously just summon it to, you know, a downward pointing, or its downward pointing link. And it's pretty cool because you can run over 2 monsters your opponent has, and then at the end of the battle phase you just get to draw 2 cards, and that obviously helps your recovery game. I don't know why anyone wouldn't like that. Now unfortunately, if your opponent only has 1 monster on the field, you probably don't want to go with this card at all. In fact, you'd probably want to head in the complete other direction, because this card's actually going to get like significantly weaker. It's going to only have, well, it's going to be like 1900 attack, and that's not very impressive. I think that this card can be quite useful, especially if you catch your opponent in a bad situation where they had to resolve something like a scapegoat, or they have tokens on the field. Maybe they just have a bunch of small monsters. Like, this is the card to capitalize off of that. I just hate the fact that this card is only put, or you can only run it in Cyber's type decks. Is this anywhere as good as the original Decode Talker? Hell no, because that card had inherent protection and you could put it in basically anything. That's why you see it played in spirals and pendulums and so many different decks. This card can only be used in decks that run a decent amount of Cyber's monsters, and that's kind of unfortunate. It would have been nice if it had some layer of protection, or if it just didn't get weaker, but I think for what it is, a card that's supposed to punish your opponent for having multiple small monsters on the field, I think it does a pretty good job. Like, generally I'm very pro cards that help you recover. If you're going to, you know, be one of these monsters, these links that I have to invest 3 cards in, but you're going to give me the ability to like draw 2 or 3 cards at the end of the battle phase, like, yeah, that's definitely worth my time. So you guys let me know what you think of Shootingcode Talker. Again, not the best talker, but I feel like this is Konami's way of trying to build up the Cyber type and bring more players to actually start playing it by giving it just more and more exclusive links. On one hand, I guess it makes people more excited about Cyber's, but on the other hand, it feels like wasted potential. Thank you guys for watching as always.